Hello and welcome to the Kick in the Creatives podcast, hosted by myself, Sandra Busby, and my fellow creative Tara Roskell, offering you interviews, inspiration, motivation, and a gentle prod in the right direction. And for lots more information, challenges, and other useful tools to help you get creating, you can go to kickinthecreatives.com. And of course, this is where you can also find today's show notes. Enjoy the show. Welcome to today's episode, and today we're going to chat about how our surroundings can affect our art. But before we get onto that, thank you so much again to everyone who's been sharing the work they've been doing for the challenges on social media. Keep them coming. We love seeing what you're doing. And also a big thank you to our latest Ko-fi supporters. Your support shows us that you like what we do and you'd like us to continue. And we're going to thank each of you personally at the end of the show.
And finally, thanks to our sponsor Evolve. Evolve can teach you how to paint in a realism style to professional level in a year or less, and for a fraction of the price of art school, because that costs a bloody fortune. Not only do they provide all the materials and support online, but they also send you all the materials that you need. You can watch a free webinar from Evolve, and this is, when I say a webinar, it's actually like a tutorial rather than just telling you all about them. And you can go to kickinthecreatives.com/Evolve webinar. Or if you do want to hear more about the Evolve program, you can go back and listen to episodes 67 and 73. Anyway, Sandra, what is new with you?
Well, I have started a new painting already after my donuts. It's funny, after this crippling art block that I had, as most people who are listening to this who've, been listening to us for some time will know, I think we've both been through a bit of an art block this year, but mine was awful, and you'd have to go back to listen to I think it's Being an Artist, the Good, the Bad and the Ugly episode to get just how bad it was. And I was thinking about it yesterday, and I was thinking, to come from that place that I was in to the place I'm in now, I've got to try and remember this, because, when you get to that point, you're like, oh, what, that's it. I was literally thinking about turning my art studio into a gym at one point, because that's how bad it was. I don't think I'd have ever done that, but do you know what I mean? I was in a really... I was just hit a brick wall and I just couldn't get through it. And, now I'm just bursting with ideas. It's funny, isn't it, how you can go from one extreme to the other. And this painting, it follows on from my donuts, and it's on a similar theme. And it's quite a lot bigger, though. It's 30 inches by 40 inches. So that's quite big, isn't it? Sort of a metre odd and...
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So, and I'm loving it. I've already done my base drawing. I've done my base shadows. So, next I can go in with the colour. And I'm doing acrylics again as my underlayers. So I'm going to do it like that again. And I think I might have to invest in some more colours, more acrylics. But I didn't want to do that until I knew whether I was going to like this, approach or not. Yeah, so that is what's new with me. I'm really chuffed. And also, as I paint this, I already just know what I'm going to do next. And I've got two canvases the same size. I'm like, yes, this is going to be great. So I'm in a really good place. So anyone out there who's currently struggling with an art block or just feeling just really like you've hit a brick wall, trust me, if I can be where I was at and get through it, then so can you. But anyway, that is all that's new with me today. What is new with you?
Well, I had a week off last week with Kevin, which was lovely. We just stayed at home and, we went for walks, and it was quite a nice week. So it's just lovely and relaxing. I think I really needed that because, like you say, my art wasn't going very well either. And we talked about this last week, didn't I? How I was struggling and painting things loads of times to actually get one that was decent. So actually on Monday morning, I woke up feeling nervous. Literally woke up feeling nervous. And I think that's because I was going to paint, which is kind of odd. But I've been working on this dog collection. I did it as a bit of kind of light-hearted relief almost from the faces because they weren't going well. But these are all dog faces. And fortunately, the one I painted on Monday actually went quite well. And so, you know, when you do something and you think, oh, I don't know about this, and it goes quite well, it then puts you in a much better frame, doesn't it?
A bit like my
You start
donuts.
thinking-
I think that's why that helped me turn my corner. It was like, oh, yes, I can still paint. Oh, phew.
Yeah, so I did that, and I did that painting on the Monday. And then on the Tuesday, I thought, well, while I've got a bit of momentum, I'm going to do another one. And that turned out all right as well. So, yeah, I'm hoping I'm back on track, and I'm going to go back to human faces now. But I did enjoy it, because it was kind of, like I said, it was almost like a light relief to the humany type ones.
And it's still a face, I guess, isn't it? So it's not too far from what you enjoy.
No. And I've been using those Posca markers that I really love, but I've actually bought some empty markers that you can fill with like a kind of liquidy acrylic paint.
Like
which
ink,
will be
like acrylic ink?
No, they are
right.
actually paint.
Okay.
But it's a more fluid kind of paint, which is what the Poscas are like. So it's almost, basically you're filling it so it becomes a marker.
Okay.
But what it does is it means that if I like it, I've got more colours available to me.
Yeah. I've
way.
got some golden acrylics that are like come in like a little bottle, and they're like really liquidy.
They're probably the same thing.
Yeah, might be. But I
It's
saw
not
you.
Van Golden.
No. I've seen your dogs, and oh my god, I really love them. I really loved them.
Have you seen all of them? Do you
Well,
get my
I've seen a
newsletter?
lot. I saw a load yesterday, and I've seen, because you sent me some, and I've seen some on your Instagram.
Of course, yeah.
And oh wow, they are obviously, you know, I know you love dogs, and that probably helps. I do think it really helps if you actually like the subject you're painting. And do you know what I mean?
You don't like donuts,
painting.
though, do you?
No, I don't. No, I don't. But I like shiny stuff.
Yeah.
So for me, it's more that.
Yeah.
But with a face, I mean, But honestly, they are amazing. I really, really like those. And it's good that it's given you that, exactly what the donuts did to me, just giving you that bit of...
It's a boost, isn't it? A little bit of a boost.
Yeah.
So I just hope tomorrow I might just have a little bit of a dabble with these markers. It's, this refillable thingy.
Yeah.
Just to see if I like it, really, but not put any pressure on myself. But
No.
I might just do... Oh, and I have also got another idea.
Right.
Which I'll just tell you, which is... I did one face, I don't know if you saw it, and it's got these little... Yes, you did, because you helped me with it, actually. It's got these little creatures coming out of it that are kind of doubts or worries.
Yeah.
Little inner critic thing. Well, I thought... I really kind of like that idea, but I've thought about extending it a little bit. And so doing a series... The idea is it will be almost like the worries are kind of... I'm going to make the worries a little bit cute. They are kind of cute, aren't they? Creatures. So they don't feel quite so worrying, if that makes sense.
Isn't that why Danny Gregory called his inner art critic a monkey?
Maybe.
I think he was doing that to kind of demonize it. And
maybe.
Just imagine this little monkey on his shoulder. I'm pretty sure I've heard him say that, and it's not a bad idea. It's surprising how effective these things, can be, and how our minds work, and how we can kind of change our mindset just by, using our imagination.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, I might even collage some words. I haven't decided on that bit yet anyway. But I don't think I'm going to do that tomorrow, because I think I want to just... If I'm doing that, that becomes a thing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Whereas if I just play with this marker, I'm playing with a marker.
Yeah. No, it's good though. I'm glad that it's funny how we've both sort of gone down that sort of crappy road at the same time, and then come out at the same time. It's really good. It's good. I'm glad. We have a much more positive mindset.
Going.
Yeah. This time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
anything else
until
new?
a few weeks. Hey.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's just part of it, I guess, isn't it? You
Yeah.
go through these ebbs and flows. It just seems to be quite a normal thing. But as we've spoken about before. So what else is new with you? Anything or?
No, only that I've got my Comic-Con coming up in November, which I'm slightly nervous about and almost wishing I hadn't have booked. But it's more from a laziness point of view that I wish I hadn't booked.
Oh,
Makes
really?
You think, oh God. Well, and not just laziness. It's you know, when you book something and you've got to go to London for the weekend on your own, and
Oh no.
you're just going to be sitting on this
Oh,
stall
no.
on your own. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
that. It's that sort of thing. So yeah.
So when is that?
In early to mid-November, that is.
I remember you saying the same about your the little art. Well, I say little art fair. I don't mean it to sound like that, but when you booked that and you went, oh my God, I really wish I hadn't. And then afterwards, you were kind of buzzing, saying, oh, I'm really glad I did that. Even I learned a lot from it. And
yeah, but it is kind of when you're there, it's actually some of it gets tedious because it's just like I would much prefer if it was just one day. When you've got 2 days, it's like, no.
Anyway, so what I was going to ask you is, while you were painting these dogs, what were you listening to? Because today we're talking about how our surroundings affect our art. And it's funny, and this is the reason we came up with this is because, Tara, you recently did an experiment, didn't you? And it was quite fun, actually, because you were posting things up where you did 2 paintings of the same thing. One of them you were listening to something like heavy rock or heavy metal, and the other one you were listening to, say, classical or something completely different.
Silence, I think, the other one.
Oh, was it silence?
And I did, because I forgot, basically, I forgot to put the music on.
Right. So the idea was that you were asking people to guess which one you'd painted to silence and which one you'd painted to the music, and it was really fun, actually. So I would love you to tell us a bit more about this experiment you did and what you learnt from it, and whether it's changed what you listen to now.
Well, that experiment, like you said, was really quite interesting, and people gave me loads of suggestions of what to listen to. The only problem I did have is obviously when I was having a bit of a slump. So, to be honest, a lot of my stuff was coming out pants. Anyway, whatever I painted. But those 2 you said about, I much prefer. I did silence, and then I did listen to like the heavy kind of metal rock sort of thing, and that was much better, much more interesting.
But do you like that kind of music though? Because I can't. If I didn't like some music I was listening to, I mean, I don't like heavy rock. I'm the least likely person to ever listen to something like that. I'd want to rip my own eardrums out. So, were you doing that because you like that kind of music, or were you testing it just to see, what an effect it would have? And did you not like that music?
So I wouldn't normally listen to that sort of music. I have done in the past, not real heavy. If you know what I mean.
Death metal.
No, not like death metal. But, I wouldn't mind listening to some, I used to listen to a little bit of Puddle and Mud and that sort of thing. It's a little bit heavy, Linkin Park, stuff like that. But not a lot, but I listened to a bit of it. But this was more for the experiment. But I have to say, there was, I can't remember the name of the band. Oh, System of a Down, that someone suggested I listen to. I actually quite like that. Because what I liked about it was quite melodic until you got to the thrash bit, and I didn't really like the thrash bit. Where they just scream.
Oh,
they just scream for about 20 seconds.
Can't do their voice boxes any good.
I don't really get that. I don't really get that. But that it did kind of, I kind of was going with it as well. So it wasn't, because in this experiment, I was actually deliberately going with the music, you know what I mean? So putting myself into the music. So there was a definite difference, and I liked the effect of the heavier music. I really did.
Yeah, I hate that kind of music so much that I wouldn't even be able to experiment with it.
Try listening to that, though.
No.
Try listening to Well, come on, just be open-minded. You don't have to keep it on for long.
No, I like Pink Floyd. That I like that.
Just try one.
Do you know what it
Chop
is?
Suey, System of a Down.
You get a lot of that's wrong, American series, and there's a serial killer, right? There's lots of those, lots of series from America that seem to involve serial killers. And it seems that all of those serial killers listen to that kind of heavy metal, death metal. So I associate that now with just people that are deranged.
So you think you're going to become a serial killer?
No, I don't think I'm going to become a serial killer.
What are you worried about then?
I
Just listen to one track. Chop
Yeah,
Suey, System of a Down.
See, the other thing, I'm not good with noise at all. Like a lot of noise. I really am not good with a lot of noise. I like music.
Don't have to have it on loud.
No, yeah. Unless it's something I love, then I'll turn it up and, like I say, some of the Pink Floyd ones. But again, I have to be in the right mood for it. But equally, I'm not one to listen to classical music either. That doesn't do it for me. And opera music, again, oh my God, I literally cannot bear listening to it. So it's funny because when you listen to my playlist on my Spotify, you would think that there was about 12 different people that had downloaded the music because there is such an eclectic mix. There really is. That there's from Enya to Pink Floyd, and everything in between. So it's according to the mood I'm in. And sometimes when I paint, I listen to podcasts because I just prefer a voice in the background, and it has to be something I'm interested in, obviously. Quite often it's science podcasts, so I love listening to. There's one called Curious Cases, Rutherford and Fry Curious Cases. I really enjoy that, and it's all sort of science and maths, and I hate maths, but it's they make it really interesting, really interesting. So what I find as well is that as I'm working on a painting, if I work in silence, I'm too focused on it and I overwork it. Whereas if I have my mind on something like a podcast where I'm actually half listening to somebody talking, it takes just enough of my focus off of the painting to make the painting a much better one in the long run because it hasn't been overworked or overthought. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, it relaxes you a little bit. Probably.
Yeah, absolutely. So I cannot work in silence though. So it's strange, isn't it?
No, see, I had been working in silence, which is interesting because I never used to. And actually, sorry, did you have anything else you want to say on
No, carry on.
So I was working in silence for a long time, and I thought about it the other day, and I thought, I never used to listen in silence, and I've got that poster on my wall of paintings that I mostly really love. I change my mind about them now and again. But I suddenly started thinking, when I used to do those, I used to listen to motivational speakers or inspiring audiobooks.
Yeah.
And they'd all be like kind of on a positive theme, all different themes. And so actually on Monday, that's what I did. Because I was really excited. This is ridiculously excited that Spotify now do audiobooks. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Yes.
What with the same? Because I can't remember what I pay a month, $9.99 a month or something like that.
Yeah, in with
and it's
premium.
in with it.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic! I did not know that. Oh, that sounds good.
I'm glad you're as excited as I was because Kevin thought it was really funny how excited I was about these audiobooks. So on Monday, when I was painting the dog, I woke up nervous. I put on this podcast audiobook, and it was about confidence. And I thought, sounds like a positive one, like how to be confident. And to be honest, I didn't actually think much to the audiobook.
No,
it's not really got much, because what you want in something like that is you want them to give you tips, don't you? How to be more confident. Tip 1.
Yeah.
It was more like, when you're confident, you do this. And it's like, yeah. But I think it was that positivity vibe. And I think that may have helped my painting go well. So I'm definitely going to listen to more of that and see if it works.
Yeah.
Which is weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think it would, again, depend on the kind of book. Whether or not a novel would take too much of my focus because I'd have to concentrate more on the story or not, I don't know. I'd have to test it out. But yeah, I like a factual book, like what you said, something on a specific subject could be really good. And it's a bit like having company, isn't it? You know, when you have a podcast, I know that some people have said they listen to us. I mean, you know, each to their own. No, but I know what they mean. It's like when you've got a couple of familiar voices, this is a bit like that Rotherham and Fry that I listen to. They have such a chemistry, the two of them, and it's quite funny to listen to. And it's just literally a bit like having some company in your art studio, so you're not on your own. But again, it's about the subject. But novel, I don't know whether I'd be able to listen to an actual novel because of that level of focus you'd need to keep it in, and I need a certain amount to be on my painting, you know. It's just that balance, isn't it?
I don't think I'd ever listen to an audiobook novel anyway.
No, I don't think I would.
No.
I don't think it's the same.
I like factual stuff, so
yeah,
it would be like self-development.
Yeah.
I'd listen to books like you probably would hate on marketing.
Oh no, I'd hate that.
Like that.
I could not find. Yeah. I'd find that awful. But you know, I read a lot. I read novels all the time, but I tend to go to bed and read. You know, so I don't know if I could listen to a book because when I read, I create they all have their own voices that are created in my head and all this, and I'm not sure I could do that if someone else was reading it to me, if you like. But
and also, I think it depends on who narrates it because some of them have got really boring voices and some are good, aren't they?
The worst is when it's an AI voice.
I was reading a book I think you would like the other day. This is not really anything to do with art, but I think it could help with social media, so I will mention it. I'm partway through it. It's called Storyworthy, and it's about writing, but it's about writing story. This guy, have you ever heard of The Moth? This is a podcast you'd like, actually. The Moth is a podcast where people just get up and speak on a story. So it'll be a story of something that's happened in their life.
Right.
And they'll have all different speakers telling all different stories. And some are good and some are bad, just depending on the person.
Yeah.
But this guy has won lots of these moth competitions.
Yeah, yeah.
So he tells you how to craft a good story.
Oh, okay. Oh, one to...
Yeah. But for social media, I think it could really help because if you're trying to tell the story of how you did something or the story about your day, he tells you like good ways to put things together.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's interesting. Yeah. So, it's worth experimenting with noise, I think.
I was going to say, talk about your studio.
Funny enough, I was about to talk about noise.
Oh, sorry.
No, it kind of leads on because my husband built, my studio is on the back of my office, basically, and it was kind of a makeshift space, which was kind of made to, it had lino and it had worktops, and it was just, everything was just scraps of this, scraps of that, and I had net curtains to cover the cupboards that that housed my all my materials, really. So it was a space for my art, but it wasn't how can I say, it wasn't beautiful or anything like that. It doesn't have to be beautiful, of course, but it wasn't anything special. It was just a lovely to have a space for me and for my art. However, it was a couple of years ago, wasn't it? I can't remember, but my husband did it out for me, and oh my gosh, it made such a difference. But I was thinking about when you were talking about environment and noise and stuff, I was thinking when he was still doing some stuff around it and in it, I was trying to work with tools going and drills going and all this stuff. I'm like, oh my God, I can't do that. So that was another thing, working with with tools and everything going on outside. I didn't enjoy that so much, but it makes such a difference to me, my environment. And I know there are plenty of artists out there who thrive amongst chaos and mess and half-finished paintings everywhere and just paint everywhere. And it's funny because I am completely the opposite to that. I can't deal with it. I have to, every time I finish a painting, I have to go in my studio and blitz it, and it's like a clean slate. So, and I have to be in a clean, calm and organised environment for me to be able to paint. It's just how I am. And, you know, it might not sound very artisty, if that's a word, but that is the only way I can work. And I think it links to the fact that I can't do a lot of noise. It's not just a lot of noise in my ears. I can't do a lot of noise around me either, as in visual noise.
Yeah.
So, and this is sort of partly why I don't really do well working on lots of paintings at once, because I need to just be able to calmly focus on what I'm working on rather than be distracted by other things, whether that's half-finished paintings around me or, you know, some unwashed brushes on the side, or, I don't know, just stuff that needs putting away, paints that need, you know, their necks cleaned. And it's just... I know it sounds really OCD. I suppose to a point it is. I'm not OCD, but I am a little bit, I think. But yeah, for me, if I walk into my studio and it's clean and inviting and, you know, perhaps I put my fairy lights on or whatever, I feel so much different painting in there than I do when I walk in and it's just... still looks a mess from the last time. Do you know what I mean? Then I just don't work so well. So I kind of have to address that before I address the whole painting thing. But I don't think you're like that, are you? You don't mind working in a bit more of, you know, a chaotic space, do you?
I am the chaotic mess that you mentioned before. Like, honestly, you would cry if you came and saw my room at the moment.
Yeah.
Because I've got, like, on my desk, because there's a mat I have to protect my desk a bit, but then I've got my easel that's all covered in paint. I've got my crayons out, they're open, the tin's open. I've got an old magazine on there, there's a sketchbook on there, I've got a pile of rubbish on my desk, I've got 2 of my dog toys on the floor.
I've always got my dog on the floor, but that's fine.
No, it's the dog toys, his
Oh,
toys.
right.
Because everything is out, and then I've got a bit of newspaper on my desk over the side. I've got some canvases leaning up against the wall. You would hate it. I am messy, but sometimes I think I do have every now and again. Like, I'll get to the weekend, I think, that needs a bit of a clear up. So I'll clear it up, and it looks all tidy. And then I think, what am I doing? I'm going to have to get this out again tomorrow. And you just think, you know, I've now got to get the mat out. I've got to get the easel. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I totally know what you mean.
So it's almost... So sometimes you just think... I mean, what I should do is just put the stuff away that I don't need. Like, I don't need a bit of newspaper sitting on my desk at the moment, you know, but...
But I think it's a bit like... This is why I think it's really good to have your own space if you can, because... even if it's in the corner of your bedroom or something, however you have to do it, your own space, you can decide whether or not it's chaotic, if that's what you want, or neat. It's your space for your creativity. And, you know, I know that some people have no choice but to work in their kitchen, on their kitchen table, as I used to. The difficulty there is you've got the distractions, haven't you? You might have the TV on next door that you can hear through the wall, or you might have I don't know, you can see the dishes need loading into the dishwasher, you could see that this needs doing, that needs doing, and maybe the phone's ringing, or just the general household stuff that goes on, especially if you've got kids at home. I mean, I haven't anymore, but, you know, God, it was hard working around that, because you've got other people that are in your environment constantly, you know, needing you for something or distracting you in some way. But, you know, I think that having your own space is one way of kind of avoiding that, really, if you can. But it is difficult when you haven't got that choice. So limiting your distractions if possible, things like turning your phone off, having a time where you say to your loved ones, actually, I'm just going to be working in here for an hour. Could you just give me a bit of space while I do this? Or could you just keep it down a bit, or go out and play, or whatever, just for a while I just get this done? Or
that's to your husband,
if you can, go out and play, Go and play with the tools. So do you know what I mean? I don't know how much distraction you get if you're in your own home environment. It's different, I think, for you and me because, like, you haven't got children and I haven't got children at home. So we can have our own space. We have got dogs. I mean, you've probably heard mine walking around the kitchen 2 or 3 times since we've been recording. When Tara and I first started recording these podcasts, my dog would do nothing but lay on his bed with his legs in the air. That's what he was like. You'd never hear him. But now he's getting older and he's going a bit, I think he might be going a bit senile, and his sight is not what it was. So he gets a bit disorientated now. So quite often he'll just wander into the kitchen and then wander back. And it's like you can hear him tip, tip, tip on the floor. But that's fine. But it is distracting, you know, when you're, not when I'm painting, but like podcasting. It's like, oh no. It's silly things like that, isn't it? It's just, and if you...
Yeah, well, mine will come up when I'm actually painting. And you'll be like, hello.
Yeah.
Hello, I've got my toy here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a young dog thing, isn't it? And
He's
exactly.
cute,
I mean, when we got Sherlock, I think for the first year, I could barely paint at all. He literally put me back a year because it was like having a toddler, literally, because they're pulling at your skirt, if you like. Not that I wear skirts, but you know what I mean? They're pulling at your clothes. They want you to play with them. So, but anyway, that's a different story if you've got a dog. But
yeah, no, mine's pretty good. It's just he'll come in like maybe an hour. He'll just come in. What you doing? You know, just like having a look round. He's good, but he will come over, and I always think, oh God, you're going to end up covered in paint, and he'll eat anything. So I have to be really careful. I don't drop bits of paper or anything on the floor because he'll eat them.
Yeah, and then they're sort of naughty to the point where they know that if they are naughty enough, that you will take them for a walk because you'll be like, I need to wear this dog out.
Give them some attention.
Exactly. So it's a bit like a child in that way. Like if I'm going to get your attention, however I need to, in order for you to, you know. So it is difficult, but yeah, just having your own space, even where you could just, you know, just be on your own for a little bit is ideal.
Yeah.
You know.
You might also want to have some of the paintings or maybe a photocopy or a print of some of the paintings you've done nearby to refer back to, because they can inspire you, especially if you're feeling a bit crappy. Or I think I said last week or last podcast that I've now got some prints of my art directly up where I paint because I was finding that I couldn't remember how I'd done things or why certain things worked, and having them just there smack in front of me, that really does help me, I think. And it also reminds you I can paint.
Yeah, exactly what I was about to say. Yeah, if you have some sort of prints or poster or something made up of some of your favourite work, when you are going through those times when you feel you're having a bit of a confidence crisis or a block, it reminds you, look, I did that, you know, so it's not like I can't paint, it's just I can't at the moment.
Yeah, so weird.
No, that's a really good thing to do. Or maybe even art of someone else's you love. I mean, books, for example, full of art, lovely. I mean, I think we both have this, don't we? I've got a bookshelf with art books in my art room, and they're not necessarily anything like the kind of art I do. It might be, I've got a book of comic drawings and all this sort of stuff. I love it. And it's just a really nice, it's lovely. It makes you feel inspired just by having all these books around, not necessarily even open to see the art, but just having them there. Do you find that?
Yeah, I've got a bookshelf full of, you know, a lot of my favourite books. I mean, I don't often go and look at them while I'm painting, but every now and again I'll suddenly think, oh, what was that book? Or I need to be inspired, and I'll just have a quick flick through it. Especially one on graffiti that I've mentioned loads of times. There's a graffiti artist sketchbook, and I love that one.
Yeah.
Never failed to inspire. But I know this has happened to you, but I used to hate coming in the room I'm in now, because basically it's my office, or it was my office for graphic design.
Yeah.
So it's still got on my computer, which is not ideal really, having a computer near paint.
No.
But for ages, I hated coming in to paint even. I used to prefer to just sketch on my lap because it felt like graphic design that I hated. It's so weird that you associate something with something else.
Yeah.
But I seem to now have done enough art in here that I don't feel like that so much anymore. And you felt like that, didn't you? Because
Yeah,
explain.
in all sorts of ways. I mean, because as well, my art room backs onto my office. That was tricky for a while because obviously, there was a doorway between the two, but there was no door, so you sort of felt like I was going to work, having to go through my office to get in there. But there's a curtain now between the two, and like a plant with fairy lights, and it's a very different environment. Funny enough, though, my husband also, bless him, he did my office out. This was just a few months ago, which now flows lovely through to my art room. So they're both really nice environments to be in, whereas before my office environment was not a nice environment to be in, as home offices often aren't, because it's just somewhere, isn't it, like the back of a garage or something. But now it is beautiful, and it's a lovely room. It's got plants and all the rest of it, and it's a nice environment. So I'm not, it's a nice flow, and it because that is now a nicer environment, it's a less stressful environment. So that's kind of helped as well, just not having to walk through chaos to get to my art room, if you like. And also, I was distracted by I think I'd spoken about it before. I was you were talking about association, weren't you? Associated it with graphic design. I was associating my art for a while with stress because I was using it as a way of limiting my stress. And then I realised, actually, I'm only painting when I'm stressed. So now I'm sort of associating that process with stress. So I had to I think that's when I backed off from it for a couple of months this year. It was actually important I did that because I needed to de-stress, use that time to de-stress, to, calm and just recharge, and then go back thinking, okay, no, I'm not stressed, and now I'm just going to paint because I want to paint, not because I feel I should, because I need to calm down. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's that sort of thing, isn't it? But surroundings, I think, for me are most important. I mentioned my plants, my fairy lights, things like that. Even if you only have the corner of one of your rooms or an apartment or something like that, I remember Mike Young talking about he used to light a specific scented candle every time he went to do some podcasting, because it put him automatically in that frame of mind. It almost put a hat on. And I seem to remember him, because he had a podcast called Your Creative Push, which we were on actually, and he's been on ours. And I'm sure I remember him talking to someone about this, and somebody else said, I have a hat. Literally, I have my art hat, and or it might have been songwriter, I think, I can't remember, but that they put a specific hat on which made them turn into the person they were going to be. So, I don't know, some people might say, oh, well, the obvious choice would be a pink beret, like you bought me once.
Yeah.
And you had your funny woolly hat.
I don't think so.
No, it wouldn't work for me, but it's just having something, even if you haven't got a space of your own, just, some ambient lighting, or which isn't always possible actually when you're working with art because you need light, but set like a scented candle, a specific something that will put you in that mindset.
Certain music, a certain playlist.
Yeah. That's all. Those sort of things. It's surprising, like we said about the brain. It can turn on a switch. So yeah. But I was going to say, you've got something which you do, and I've always said, I should do this, and I never get around to it.
My pinboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've just got this, I can't actually see it that well, but above my computer, I've got it's like one of those magnetic pinboards, and on it I've got nice things that people have said about us at Kicking the Creatives mostly, rather than me. But you could do it if someone says something really nice about your art. You could just print out that comment and put it on a thing, because sometimes you kind of forget all these nice things that people have said along the way, and they do give you a little bit of a boost, I think. And
that's why we love the podcast reviews, because they really do help. And Tara always pins it on her pinboard, so
I don't always pin it on my pinboard, but yes,
a lot of them you do.
Yeah, I do pin some of them. Yeah. Anyway, shall we read out the answer to our last question?
I think so. Let me just find out what the question was. I can't remember. Oh,
I've got it here. I've got it here.
Go
Which is,
on.
what do you listen to while you create? A bit like we've just been talking to. And does your choice affect the results?
Right, so press B king. If I listen to anything, it's usually just a tune related to my drawing that just gets stuck in my head. Oh no, not a brainworm. I couldn't cope with that.
Yeah. I've got F Walker 927, cool jazz.
Jack's Abstracts. I listen to my running tunes playlist on shuffle. It's a very upbeat playlist and gets me in the zone physically as well as mentally. It guarantees that regardless of the art I have created, I will have had a wonderful time dancing and singing and being in the zone. Well, that's one way to loosen up your art, isn't it? If you're dancing at the same time.
Yeah. I've got Mika Works. I listen to podcasts, Serial S Town, lots of true crime. I also love listening to the band Lifehouse. My hubby knows if he hears that playing in my studio, I'm in the groove. Music helps me get through the tedious parts of my art process. Sometimes I get to parts in my drawings where I'm slowing down and then boom, a favourite tune comes on and I keep going.
J Hamilton 2911. I've documented my art journey based on the music I listen to, and there is definitely a correlation between that and what I paint. For example, if I'm listening to rock, hip hop or rap, my artwork is rough, abstract or very raw, and I love it like that because every brushstroke or the slap of my palette knife is between being intentional and mostly intuitive. If I'm listening to jazz or classical music, then I lean more towards drawing with graphite and or charcoal, and my renderings are more subdued and tamed. If I'm listening to country, I lean towards acrylic painting. Don't know why, that's just how it is. Thanks for your ear.
I've got Chris F writes, it really depends on my mood and what that also influences what I create. When I'm feeling tired or overwhelmed. When I feel tired or overwhelmed, I turn to abstract drawing and colouring. I'm a wordsmith though, so that's the extent of my drawing, sketching and painting. When I'm deep into writing, I listen to EDM, which I think is electric dance music, panning audio or some other classical focused music videos on YouTube. The energy helps me focus and write faster and better, especially when writing dialogue or action.
And I've got PJ Payne. Funny enough, I've never put music on. Maybe that's what I'm doing wrong. Well, why don't you try it out and let us know how you get on?
Yeah, because you're going to try System of a Down, aren't you, Sandra?
Oh, I can't wait.
Right. I've got Joe Brown, Murder Mysteries on Audible. Might explain a lot.
Oh, I love a murder mystery.
I don't.
Oh, I do. I really do. Right, I have got Gabriella Pop. It depends on my mood. Jazz or world music. It's easier to cool down and get into the flow for me. And the headphones keep the environment and it sounds far away from me.
I've got Tiffany Markham. I recommend Rockstar 101 by Rihanna for confidence boosting. Also, my Pandora on Shuffle goes from Lil Wayne, Thievery Corporation, Oasis, Real Quick.
Andy WR. Sometimes I listen to podcasts. KITC, in other words, Kick in the Creatives or Environmental. Well, I should hope so. If I need to work quickly or avoid distractions, I will go with Dance with the Dead, Slipknot or Green Day. Work done with these high-tempo tunes seems to help my ink hatch patterns to be looser and have more energy. No stippling, just rapid, angular line work.
I've got Roving J, in the studio, pure silence, so that my mind can wander and I can get into the zone of creativity.
God, it's funny how one person cannot work in silence, such as me, and one person can only work in silence. Isn't it funny how different we all are?
Yeah, it's weird.
I've got Penny Marcus. If I'm looking for energy, anything with a dance beat that isn't too techno-pop. I sometimes listen to books or podcasts, but not often. Most of the time, I work without any sound.
I've got Audrey Hennessy, everything, music, podcasts, books, radio, I never work in silence.
Melinda Hampshire, I love metal and goth rock. What can I say? It blocks all the crap in my head and keeps me awake. Soothing music puts me to sleep. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I won't be coming round for a cup of tea at yours anytime soon if that's what you're listening to.
I've got Jessica Orr, so embarrassing. Hallmark Mysteries, lol. keeps the logic side of my brain loosely occupied so I can let the feral wild part run wild.
Do you know, I used to listen occasionally to plays on online. Right. You know, the ones, I think you can get them on Spotify. It's just like, it's like people acting over a microphone. They're quite fun. But anyway, Brenda Shipley, she says, you, meaning us, of course. Thank you, Brenda.
Nice. Yeah.
So we've got another question for you, which is, describe a real life situation that has inspired your art in some way. So describe a real life situation that has inspired your art in some way.
And as always, you can let us know in the Facebook group, which if you haven't already joined, I highly suggest you do. We'll also put the question up there and on the Facebook page and, of course, on Instagram, which is Kick in the Creatives.
So we hope that gave you the kick in the creatives you needed. Don't forget to pop over to our website at kickinthecreatives.com to find out how you can take part in some of our upcoming creative challenges. And, of course, there you can also subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you're enjoying the podcast, we'd be so grateful if you'd leave us a little review on iTunes or even just a star rating if you don't have much time. If you want to find either myself or Tara online, I'm on Instagram as sandra.busby and my website is Sandra Busby Art and Facebook Sandra Busby Artist. Tara, how about you? Where can people find about you?
You can find me on my website, which is tararoscoeart.com, and on Instagram and Facebook and Pinterest and everywhere else as Tara Roscoe Art. And don't forget to check out and subscribe to our Kicking the Creatives newsletter to keep up with all the challenges and podcasts. You can do that via our website. Also, we have a course, which is how to create characters and cartoons for fun. You can find the link to the course on our website or go to kickinthecreatives.com/cartoon course where you can find out more.
And on that note, actually, you know, if you're struggling to think of a different kind of gift to get maybe your loved ones, your children, anyone who loves drawing cartoons or comics, that sort of thing, it might be a good idea to consider getting them that course. But it's just a thought. If you enjoy what we do and you'd like to help support us here at Kick in the Creatives, you can do so by buying us a coffee, and you can find the link to our website. Obviously, we don't actually spend it on coffee. We use the money to help us towards the actual costs of the running, the website, all those, podcast costs, that kind of thing. So it really does help. And a big thank you to our latest supporters, Carol Romero. Thank you for all you do, she says. Laurie Zebiera, hello from Manitoba, Canada. I love Kick in the Creatives podcast. It is always inspiring, and the chemistry and humour between Sandra and Tara makes for an entertaining experience. You have me LOLing on my daily commute. Keep up the awesome content. Thank you so much, Laurie. And also a huge thank you to Joanna Brown for your support. Yet again, we do really appreciate it. And if you are unable to help us in that way, there are other things you can do. You can share our episodes with other creatives, or you can perhaps write us a nice review. All these little things help, and we really do appreciate any support you can give. But that is it for today, and we will see you next time.
See ya.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed the episode, and if you did, perhaps you'd like to share it and leave a review for us on iTunes.